tasting the coffee. I just made myself a cup of tea. Okay, well, oh, it's excellent. Oh, it's really good. Very mild. I like it. Good job.
All right, have a great day.
Sorry about that, you guys. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's live stream and the introduction of my new set. Finally, it's been a while. I know. Okay, where to start? This kind of distracted me a little bit. Mr. Coffee just brought me his new roast, coffee roast that he just did yesterday, and it's delicious. But hey, I'm still gonna stick to my tea. It's my thing. It's my drink. So, yes, I hope everybody's had a good week and that you are all looking forward to today's session. So, in the first part, I'm going to introduce all 9 new colors, and I'm going to also talk a little bit about the inspiration for the set, which is native Hawaiian forest birds. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each color, what it is, what it looks like, and where the name comes from. And then in the second part, I would like to paint, hold on, let me get my little sketchbook here, this little Akepa bird with you. Trying to use all the colors. So, of course, I know that you don't have the colors yet because the set drops this Sunday. So I just encourage you to use whatever colors you have at hand that are similar to these ones. And I'm gonna go through all the colors in the beginning so you can already gather your colors for the painting session later. I have so much stuff on my desk right now. Okay, let's turn the camera around so you can see all the things. All right, hi Courtney. Ooh, great, Courtney's here. She made the stickers for the tins. Oh, great. Okay, I can showcase these off. Showcase these, of course, too. Okay, let me turn the camera around. Here we go. Lots of things on my desk. Okay, just gonna plug it back into my phone holder. Sorry for the shakies. Here we go. Okay, I do have it plugged in with a cable, but the cable is kind of short, so I'm gonna unplug it. I'm at over 80%. I think that should be enough for today's session, hopefully. Okay. I do have the chat open on my computer, so I'm just gonna have a quick look. Hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining today. Debbie says, Aloha, I know we must wait until Sunday. Just 2 more days. Hi, Mom. All right. Okay. So whenever you have a question, or especially if the sound is off or something, or I should zoom in, zoom out, just let me know, please. Okay, let's start. Let's talk about the little birdies later. Put this to the side. I made a little cheat sheet too. Put that to the side for now. Okay, so for the first time ever, I have not only the regular set, you know, with the half pans, I also, oh, and this is the sticker that Courtney helped me make. So I designed it and then Courtney did all the hard work, like cutting it, weeding it, and all that. So thank you, Courtney. Okay, so for the first time ever, I'm also offering a smaller size set. It might actually not look smaller, but it contains about half the amount of the regular half pans. So these are the regular ones, And then this travel set here is about half or maybe a tiny bit more than this one. And let me see. Okay, let me put these here like this. Let's go through the colors. So there are 9 colors. 8 of them are matte, which means non-shimmer, basically. And then we have 1 shimmer, which is also a color shift. Put this here. And then this is the same color on 2 different papers. I think I'm still in frame. Let me just move things around a little bit. I apologize if I'm stumbling over my words today. I was invited to a birthday dinner yesterday and I'm a bit didn't get much sleep. So apologies if I seem a bit distracted and not finding my words right away. Okay, so I'll just start with the first color. This is a zirconium yellow, and I'm gonna get my cheat sheet. PY159 is the pigment code, and I find this yellow really interesting because I have honestly not seen it anywhere else. So I haven't come across this particular color with any other handmade or industrially made watercolor. It's a very light yellow and it is semi-opaque. So you could, when you use it with little water, use it almost as a gouache. Was that an earthquake? We had this rumble and I was just wondering. No answer. I guess it wasn't. Okay, so this is the first color. It is named after the palila bird, which I painted here. And it is a finch-billed, so finch-billed Hawaiian honey creeper. And this is a bird that lives in close harmony to a specific tree, this here, the mamane tree. Such an interesting relationship. So you could almost say the bird couldn't live without the tree and vice versa, because, you know, the bird helps the tree spread the seeds as well. So this is the first color, the yellow. Let's move on to this peachy color here. So for the longest time, I have been wanting to create a color that is kind of like a more orange version of shell ginger, which is a pastel pink I created years ago. So I was looking to create something that is like a peach color. And just like the yellow, you can also use this almost as a gouache when you use it with just a little bit of water. This color is named after a tiny little bird, the ilopayo. And it is made with 2 pigments. It is a natural rock pigment from orange travertine mixed with a bit of white. And the bird, hold on, let me show you. Okay, so I just put some photos together here. So the Ilipayo comes in 3 different varieties. I don't think that's the right term, but there are different types of Ilipayo birds on the different islands. So this one here is the Oahu Ilipayo. And you can see naturally this bird doesn't have just one color, but I thought, you know, this plumage here, or plumage, the feathers here on the belly, they have just this beautiful orangey cream color that I tried to recreate with my paint. Okay, let me put this to the side again. Oops, okay. All right, let's move on to color number 3, which is a super, super bright cadmium orangey red or red orange. This is PO20, I think. Let me just look over here. PO20. So this is probably the brightest color in the set, and it is also going to be the main color that I'm using today for my Akepa bird. So this color, yeah, is named after the Akepa bird, which is, again, a small bird, and it is actually only found on Hawaii Island, so the big island where I live on, which is actually true for a lot of these birds that I'm showing you today. So you have to imagine, not only are these birds native to Hawaii and endemic to Hawaii, but a lot of them can only be found on one of the Hawaiian islands. And then on that island, sometimes only in a specific region. And of course, unfortunately, that's also why they're so vulnerable. Because if something happens to that region, the bird is gone. So the my set is, of course, colorful, and we're gonna do some happy painting later. But I also really want to emphasize that these birds need protection and that they're very important for the Hawaiian fauna and flora. Okay, on to the next color. This is called EEV. And the Eevee is maybe the most known or iconic of the Hawaiian birds, I think. Let me show you a picture, and maybe you've seen it before. Probably all of you have seen it before because I've painted this bird many, many times. And I also have it here on my tea mug that Tracy made. You see it? I don't want to spill my teas. Okay, so the Eevee bird has this beautiful long beak, and that's again something that a lot of the Hawaiian birds developed in order to be able to eat something very specifically. So to eat from the flowers of a specific tree, for example. This color is a so-called Mayan red, like the old Mayans on the American continent. And this is a modern pigment. However, when they made it, they tried to emulate the properties of this old, ancient traditional pigments that the old Mayans used to paint their houses and their skins even. So this is probably, I'd say, I don't want to say this is my favorite pigment, but it was definitely a very interesting pigment to work with. It is not very common, so it's not going to be easy to find it with other makers. I think I've seen it, I think Stacy Stakey with Colors did it as well. But just saying that this is maybe a pigment, if you're thinking about not getting the whole set, I would recommend getting this one. This is kind of like special and a bit rare. And this is definitely a more transparent color. So whereas these three were more opaque, this is a more transparent color. Okay, just looking over to the chat if there are any questions. Hi, Alina. Yay, Amy, Lisa, yay. Hey, everybody. Oh, yeah, Alina. Oh, great. You remember we painted the party bird. Yes, that was the EEV bird a while back. I think in February with Tanya. Okay, on to the next color, which is also the name giver of the set. This is Mele Manu. In Hawaiian, Manu is the word for bird. And Manu, of course, it's also, I grew up in Germany, so this would be a very common nickname for somebody called Manuela, for example. So I was just wondering, is there a Manuela in the chat today? If so, then you know that your word or your name in Hawaiian means bird. Mele is the Hawaiian word for different things. It can be poem, it can be chant, as in ancient chant religious or for hula dance, for example, or it could simply mean song. In Hawaiian, a lot of words have different meaning according to circumstances. So this color kind of stands out a little bit, I think. You know, this bright primary, it's a phthalo blue. And I also chose the color of the sticker to be blue, because really this is the, how do you say, the representative color of the set. It's the name giver. And then funny, I ended up painting mostly with the warm colors of the set. So, you know, all the birds and everything. But of course, you can also paint things that are totally different from these birds. I did a few ocean seascapes just using the, you know, blue, green, and dark gray and black colors of the set as well. All right, the next color is called Sanctuary. And of course, the idea for this was, you know, to go a little bit with the name giver of the set, Milemanu, birdsong, and sanctuary. It's the whole idea that we have to protect our nature and the animals in it. And this color is a mix of different natural greens, green earths. So that's one of the oldest pigments that have been used. So if you go to these ancient caves in France, for example, the only, or in South America, the only green you will find are these more subtle greens made from green rocks. There aren't plenty of rocks, so green was actually a very, very, very rare colors. Most colors they used back then were the reds, ochres, yellows, and even black, but green was very rare. So this is a combination of different greens plus cobalt green, and that leads to this color to be slightly granulating. So it's very hard for me to do single pigment colors anymore. I love mixing and combining different pigments these days to just create a bit more interest in that color. Okay, we have 3 more colors left. So let me talk about this one here. This again is named after a Hawaiian bird, oma'o. And it's a mix of gray ochres and also blue and purple. So I know it just looks gray, but it actually has a very strong blue bias. So it's a very cool gray color. And the oma'o is a Hawaiian thrush. It's a really tiny, tiny, very cute bird. Oh, I have a photo. Hold on. Linda says she's an oma, a grandma, but not an oma'o. That's so cute. Here it is. It is such a darling. Look at that. So I'd say the overall impression of this bird would be gray or brown, but I found quite a few photos where this bird had kind of like a purplish blue tint, and that gave me the inspiration to create a gray with a strong blue bias. So unfortunately, this is one of the birds I have never seen out in the wild, but it might also be because it is very camouflage. So this one can really disappear into the trees. And again, this little bird is a bird that can only be found here on Hawaii Island, on the Big Island. Okay, up next is, I'd say, probably the most interesting color in the sense that it contains a magnetic pigment and it is also a mix of different pigments. So I have black ochres, I have the magnetite pigment, and then I have different ultramarines and purples, and what I actually can't even remember. There's so many pigment codes, I'm not gonna tell you all of them. Just know that this color, when you use it with just a little water, will be black. And then when you use it with a lot of water, it will start granulating and separating. So granulating means you see all these little pigment granules, and separating means that the different pigments are going to be visible. So you're going to be able to see the black and the bluish and the violet tones. So in my opinion, this color would be absolutely fantastic for landscapes. So if you want to paint dramatic skies, stormy clouds, rocks, cliffs, I think this would be a fantastic color. It is named after the Hawaiian crow. And unfortunately, that is actually a bird that is considered to be extinct in the wild. There have been efforts to breed them in the zoos, predominantly in San Diego, in California. They tried bringing the bird back out into the wilderness a few times, and unfortunately it failed. And it was so in the end, a few deceased, and then they tried to catch the last remaining two. But these birds are extremely intelligent, and I think for the longest time, the researchers weren't even able to catch these two last birds. And I'm just picturing it. So they did catch them in the end, and they brought them back to the zoo, and they're trying their best. And I really, really hope that we get to see this big, wonderful looking crow. I listened to some audio tapes of the crow, and I have hardly ever listened to an animal make hilarious sounds like this bird. It sounds like, I mean, they have so many different sounds and noises they can make, from rusty doors to, I mean, everything. It is just really very entertaining. So hopefully one day I go up on one of my favorite hikes up Kaloko, and I'll hear the creaky door, knowing that it's a alala bird. I do have a photo here. Okay, look at these magnificent. I mean, I so want to see one. It would just be so fantastic. I'm going to leave the photos open because our next bird, the Akohekohe, I'd say that's probably my favorite bird. I mean, just look at this bird. Look at the hair. I mean, the feathers, but you know what I mean. Man, it is just such a wonderful punk rocker bird. So the Akohekohe has so many different colors that I finally decided I'm gonna introduce a shimmer in the set. It is the only shimmer. It's also a color shift. It's also extreme. It's very hard to show. Let me see if I can show you the color shift. So it shifts from gold to peach to pink. I'm not sure. Can you guys see that? A little bit, huh? Oh yeah, okay. But even if you don't use it as a color shift, I mean, it is just a super nice shimmery metallic color. And I mostly use it for details and highlights. So let me show you here, just very sparingly. I just really put it on the Ohialehua flowers here, just as a little highlight. Okay, so these are all the colors. Aw, thank you, Amy. She says that the color shift shimmer is stunning. Mahalo. Hi, Michelle. Okay. Ooh, Michelle says, go Mud Lane. Hear it all the time. So Michelle also lives on the Big Island here, but she lives on the other side. So are you saying that you've actually heard alala, Hawaiian crows there, or the akohekohe? Okay, I'm looking over at the chat and seeing if she's answering. I think it's always a bit time lagged. So whenever I pose the question, it takes a little while for YouTube to actually show me the answer. Oh, really? Okay, so again, Michelle says that she's actually heard Alala. That's amazing. I had no idea. I mean, wherever you go, whoever you ask or talk to bird people, they will tell you that the Hawaiian crow is extinct here in the wild. We need to go. I want to hear the creaky door. I want to hear it. I'm going to take my big camera. That would be so fabulous. Oh my gosh. Now I'm excited. All right, so let's start with our bird. I'm gonna clear the table a little bit. I'm gonna try and arrange these things so you can still have an eye on them. Oh, one more thing before I forget, because I pulled out this other pan size here as well. So these colors will also be available as so-called full pans. I know it's kind of confusing that they call these ones half pans and these one full pans for whatever reason. So just the smaller ones, the big ones, these sizes will be available too. And then all these colors will be available as single colors too. So you don't have to buy the full set. If you're looking at only 2 colors that you like, then those will be available too. Okay, let me move these over to here. And now I have to look for my own set of colors and some paper. I'll be right back. I'm actually still here. I'm just rummaging around here in my little cupboard. Okay, so my colors look very different because I've used them so much already. And then, so let's see. I didn't prep any paper. I just realized, what can we use today? Let me just have a look around about. Ooh, this is a nice one. The Humuhumu expression. Yeah, let's use this one. Okay, hold on. Let me put this over here. Oh, oops. Keiko is all over the place today. Just a little abstract swatching here. I love to do that as well, just to see how the colors go together. Okay, I'm gonna put this little one here, maybe here, so you can see it. I did send out a newsletter with the sketch and also some possible colors for you to use today if you want to use Aloha watercolors. But as always, please feel free to use whatever paints you have at hand. Okay, let's see. I need something to make the sketch with. Okay, I'm just looking over at the chat. Michelle says, could be the trees creaking though. You know what? I guess that could be the case. Maybe it was not an alala. Maybe it was a tree creaking. And Sylvie wants to know how big the alala are compared to our crows here, which means over in Germany. Okay, so I've only seen 2 alala in my life. It was at the zoo here on the Big Island. And they seemed actually smaller than the European crows. Did I say crow? Crow, I mean crow. Yeah, they also are extremely shiny. The reason why I made this paint to be black and blue was actually when I first laid eyes on an alala in the zoo. The feathers were just so slick, so shiny, incredible. Like it was this type of deep black that looks blue. Oh yes, Amy says we need Tracy to lead a bird nerd birding expedition on Big Island for us. Yes, please. That would be great. Okay, my dears, let's start with the sketch. Should I zoom in a little bit? Maybe a little bit, huh? Here we go. All right. Okay, as you can see, this bird shape is actually pretty simple. It would be a circle, oval shape for the head, and then kind of like a reversed teardrop shape for the body. So let's do that. I'm going to put it here more towards the left because I want to add some flowers here on the left. This is a water-soluble colored pencil, so I can just work it into the watercolors later. And then this is the eye here. Okay, that's a bit long, but I'm also taking into consideration that the tail is included here. Make sure that you have a nice round belly here. And then it kind of goes into that tail. Then from your oval, from the head, draw a line connecting the head with the body. And this is it for the basic shape. So the bill of this, or beak, I already forgot. We had this whole discussion with Tanya whether or not to call this bill or beak. Was the bill the bigger one, like a pelican bill? And the beak was the smaller birds? I can't believe I forgot that already. Okay, so little bird mouth here, or Schnabel in German. Such a cute word, you guys. Schnabel. Okay, so let's draw in those spots where we'll put the flowers later on. Just a few strokes to remind us where to place them. And I'm not even gonna draw in the leaves. I'm just gonna do these very randomly. But two more flower shapes down here. Okay, then back to the bird. So for the black parts of the bird, again, I'm gonna place these over here. No need for me to draw these in. However, the tail, I will draw in a little bit like this. Just another triangle shape here at the bottom. And then here is where leg number 1 goes off like this. This is gonna just be like a ghost leg almost. It's gonna disappear into the shrubbery. And then the other one is around here, and then that's where this little bird is holding on to the plants. So because these are such small, lightweight birds, they can sit on things where you'd say, oh, how is that even possible? How can it hold on to this tiny, tiny branch or even just a flower? All right. So this is all the sketching we're gonna do today. Let's dive into the watercolor part. Any questions so far? I'm gonna just have a little look over at the chat. Okay, Michelle says, bills are flat, beaks rhyme with peaks. Oh, it's whether they're flat or pointy? Okay. So then that's definitely a beak because it has a peak. That's Cute. I might remember now. Maybe. So Sylvie says, I thought beak is shorter and thick and bill is longer and thinner. Yeah, that would make sense too. So if you have one of these long-legged birds, the shoreline birds with the really long bills, and that's a bill too, I'd say. Flamingos, colea, the plover, you know, these type of birds. Sandpiper, is that another one? Okay, so as for watercolors, I have my little palette ready here as well. A brush would be good too. I prepped all the colors and swatches today, but I kind of forgot about prepping the painting session. Okay, this is a size 10 round brush. That's a big, little bit big, but that's okay. I am also gonna grab a smaller round brush. Let's see. Just when you're looking for just a regular round brush, all you see is flat and filbert and angled and schlepper and all these ones that I don't need right now. Number 6. Now let's do okay, I have a number 3 round brush. Okay, this combination should work. Okay, let's start with just laying down some water on the body of our bird. Don't lay down water around in the eye area. So we want to keep that eye area white, even though the eye will be black later on. The reason that I'm leaving it white is that I want to create a white highlight. And of course you could go in later and paint your highlight with some gouache or a white jelly roll pen. But I kind of like to think ahead a little bit and just leave that space white. And you can see that my water-soluble colored pencil is actually giving off some pigment here already. Now with my orange color, and maybe if you're using Aloha watercolors, you have something like Orange Tree or Alani that you're using. You can of course also just mix red and yellow. Wow, but just, I mean, look how, this is such an intense color. So I'm gonna water it down a little bit. If you're using Orange Tree, that's another really intense orange color as well. And now I'm just dropping in orange all around the bird. I'm leaving the eye white and also here, this part of the bird, the center of the bird. Because next I'm gonna go in with some yellow and red to create some darker and lighter parts of the bird and to make it look a bit more round and 3D. So while our paper is still wet, I'm grabbing some of my Palila yellow. If you're working with Aloha watercolors, a good alternative to this color would be Plumeria, which is also kind of like a light yellow, a little bit of an opaque color. Okay, again, let's water this down quite a bit. I'm adding more and more water to my paint. I want a very thin mix. And now let's drop it in here around the white space area. Up here, on top of the head. Okay, that's it. Oh, and just a little bit here on top of the beak, schnabel. Up next, I'm gonna grab some red. If you're using Aloha watercolors, you can use Heliconia, medium crimson red. That is also a cool leaning red, but I have to say the Mayan red is even more leaning towards blue than Heliconia. As this color is more transparent than the other ones, I don't have to water it down as much. So with my red paint on my brush, I'm dropping in red around the eye, back here in the neck area, and then here at the bottom towards the tail. And how about we drop in some paint up here too? That'll define this shape here a little more. Okay, looking over to the chat. Okay, Courtney says it's a William, and I have no idea what she's talking about. What are you talking about, Courtney? It's a William. It's a Schnabel. It's a William. This could be a new motto, and I'm not even sure what it's about. Oh gosh, now I get it. Bill, like the nickname for William. See, this is how you know that I haven't slept much last night. It's like, it took me so long. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna start with my flowers over here as well while this dries a little bit, because I already have the paints on my palette. I'm switching to my size 3 round brush, picking up some of my orange. And let's just go in. And for this part, you want to hold your brush upright. Start here at the bottom point, and then just flick your brush up. Make sure you don't paint the lines straight. You want them to be a little curved. So you set your brush down and then flick it upwards like this. Pick up some more paint, and let's do the other ones. So don't fill in all the shapes yet, because we're gonna add some red. Okay, I'm just going to go around and paint in all the lines here. The Ohia lehua blossoms, or lehua blossoms of the Ohia tree, I should say, come in different colors. The most prevalent one is red, but I've seen them in yellow and peach, and supposedly they even exist in white. I haven't seen one yet. So it's totally legit to use different colors for these flowers, even though I would say that you could find all the colors in one flower, but we're gonna have some artistic freedom here. I just picked up some of my Ilipayo peach color here. Don't worry about this color at all if you don't have it. You can simply just mix your orange with some yellow, for example. Maybe if you have some white gouache, mix in some white gouache. But honestly, it's not really necessary to paint these flowers. As you can see, it almost doesn't show up here. It's just because I want to use all the colors for this painting today that I'm using it, but it really isn't, in quotation marks, necessary to paint these flowers today. think I might actually just add this to the background later, because seriously, it just does not show up in those flowers at all. Picking up some of my EEV red, then dropping this into my still wet paint here at the bottom of the flowers. And then flicking my brush up to add some more lines here for my flowers. The quicker you whip your brush up, the more you're going to have this effect where the tip of your flower lines is going to be very skinny, so you're going to have a nice pointy sharp finish, and the base is going to be stronger and broader. It does require some practice, but this would be the best technique to paint these types of organic shapes. So lines that are not even monolines, but are thicker at the bottom, thinner at the top. I would always recommend to hold the brush upright and then just do a quick flicking motion. Okay, Sylvie says in German, William is usually shortened to Willi. Yeah. I've actually never heard Will in German, but Willi is very common, especially, I mean, where I'm from in the South. Willi. Willi is also the friend of Biene Maya, which is a children's TV show in Germany with a cute little bee called Maya and her friends called Willi, and he basically just wants to sleep all day, all the time. Okay, let's do the green leaves next. I am switching back to my number 10, size 10 round brush, picking up some green. So if you're using Aloha watercolors, you could use green earth, mix it with, let me think, Nahele, or you could use Monstera, mix it with a tiny bit of black, or you could use really just whatever green you like. It is not necessary to use this exact shape of green. What shape of green? Shade of green. Here we go. On my ceramic palette, I'm watering down the paint. And I'm really soaking my brush in the paint. And now we're just gonna go around. See how I just dip down the brush onto the paper. I'm using the full properties of the belly of the brush, pressing it down. Don't overthink it. Just put leaves down on your piece of paper here. Maybe up here. And later on, I'm gonna go back in with a colored pencil and add some details. So don't be afraid to just randomly distribute the leaves on your painting. I'm picking up some of my Melemanu blue. And alternatively, you could use Whale Song or Blue Canoe, even Moana, Prussian blue. And just dropping this into my leaves here at the bottom. Important that your leaves are still wet. So I know that a lot of you guys have really, really hot summer right now. So if your paper is already drying and you know it doesn't flow this well, you can just re-wet your leaf with some water and then drop in the blue paint. Okay, so Sylvie's asking, not so good in the US? You mean Willie? Or really? The nickname? Hey James!
Yeah.
Is the nickname for William, it's usually Bill here and Will?
Yeah, and Willie.
Oh really? Willie?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well, you guys learned something new today.
If he's a little kid.
Oh, if he's a little kid. And then later...
Little Willie. Usually the son of a Bill.
Oh, so the dad would be Bill, and then the son would be also William, but then it would be Willie. Mm-hmm.
And he'd go by Bill, and then the little kid would be Willie.
Ah. Well, just ask Mr. Coffee. You get coffee and good answers. And my mom says, yeah, Biene Maya und Willi, he is sleepy all day and night, haha. My mom really loves that show. It's such a silly kids show, but very cute. You know, it's from back in those days in the 80s where they still hand painted these animated shows. They still hand paint them, but now they, you know, mostly do it digitally. So back then it was like gouache and scanning it in, or like alcoholic markers or whatever they used. So it's, you know, it is very nostalgic to think of this show. All right. I'm gonna pick up some of my gray omao. This is a very transparent color, so I could probably just use it straight from the pan, and I think I'll just do that. And drop that into the bottom of my leaves here. I'm only gonna drop it into those parts where I see that the paper is still moist, so that it blends nicely. And the rest I'm gonna put here on my palette. Maybe a little more. Okay, I think my bird is still pretty moist. Because this is cotton paper, it retains the moisture a bit longer than cellulose paper. So yeah, I might have to go do some hair drying with this one. Let's see. But you know what? I think I want to drop in some more orange. I want this side to be a bit darker. So let's pick up some more orange. And please only do this step if your paper is still wet or moist as mine is. Otherwise, if you also want to have the side more dark, you have to wait till everything is really dry and then add water over everything and then add in your orange. Okay. Ooh, I like that. That's so pretty. Look how the orange melts with the yellow. That's so pretty. I have to move my mug. It is right next to my paint water, and you know, this wouldn't be the first time I dip my brush in my tea. And you know, even though these paints aren't toxic, especially not in like these minuscule amounts, the cadmium orange, you don't want to eat that. Okay, let me just go over the shape of the head one more time here. Okay, I think I need to go do some drawing. Let me check the chat real quick. Oh, now I understand what Sylvie means with the Willy. Ja, Sylvie, das stimmt. Das gibt's auch. Colleen says, I think I'm missing out on this whole side of the conversation here. Colleen, you're not the only one. See how long it took me to to understand what Courtney meant earlier. Welcome to the club. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna use the hairdryer. See, yeah, it's almost dry. Good enough. Good enough. Okay, back with my size 10 round brush, picking up some water, picking up some of my gray paint. You could use manta ray or monk seal if you want to use Aloha watercolors. And if you're fancy, you could even mix in some blue into one of those gray colors. All right, now we're gonna add some of the darker feathers of the wings here at the side. Just with some quick strokes. Kind of want to go along the line that you already have to emphasize that this is a bit of a different part of the bird. So the tail here and the wing on this side. And then picking up some of my black paint. You could use lava or shark, or actually Kohola indigo would probably be the best alternative, or Aomoe. So I'm just dropping these other color names because as I said earlier, you're not gonna have these colors yet that I'm using today, but all the other colors that I'm mentioning today have been published previously, and you might actually have them in your Aloha watercolors collection. So that's why I'm name dropping, so to speak. Okay, into the still wet gray, let's add some of the black paint. And you can see I'm doing some thinner strokes here for the tail, but here on the side, just dropping in the black like this. Okay, I'm not switching to my smaller brush, but please feel free to do so. I'm just holding it upright so I can utilize the tip of the brush and gently drawing in the foot of this bird. I'm keeping the shape kind of vague like this. I made a lot of tiny little strokes because now I'm gonna go back in with my gray color and filling in the shape. It was almost like I was sketching out that foot one more time, and now I'm painting it in with my gray color. I have a very diluted version of my gray on my brush now, and I will use it to go over the upper part of the beak and the peak and the schnabel, then dropping in some gray paint right between the eye space and the beak, and also down here. Adding a large stroke of gray here on the belly. Make it follow the line of the belly. So you want it to be rounded. And then over here. So now we're doing a few shadows, yeah? At the bottom here, like this. This will dry a bit lighter. If, however, you think it is just too strong, you can rinse your brush, dry it on a paper towel or a cotton towel, and just pick up some of that gray paint that you just dropped to make it lighter. You can also gently rub it with the underlying orange color to mix it a little bit. But don't be afraid to add shadows to everything that you paint. It will give it more definition. It will give it more interest. Okay, so my mom wanted to know if Sylvie's already tired because it's 9 p.m. over in Germany, but Sylvie says she ate too much for dinner. Yeah, that was me yesterday. We had such a nice birthday dinner with, you know, like different dishes, like corn on the cob, rosemary potatoes. We had tandoori chicken, which is an Indian dish, and burgers and different salads with mango, and oh, it was so good. And I really love when you can just grab a plate and then serve yourself from the different dishes that they offer. That's so fun. And then they had passion fruit bars for dessert. It's like a, yeah, it's not a cake. It's almost like a shortbread cookie with a creamy, fruity topping. So like a lemon bar or a passion fruit bar, if you've heard of those. Those were so good. I tried to not eat more than 2, but it was difficult. They were so good. Okay, so picking up a little bit of my black paint and putting it here, again, in this area between the beak and the eye. Like this. Okay. Again, I am not really concerned about, okay, is this too much paint here or here, because I'm gonna go back in and finish this whole thing with colored pencil. And then I can emphasize other areas as well and balance out maybe areas that I put too much paint on. Yes, Amy, they were delicious. Oh my goodness. Amy Lilikoi journals. So in Hawaiian, passion fruit is called lilikoi. And if somebody has the handle Lilikoi journals, you probably know what their favorite fruit is. Okay, I am switching over to my small brush, picking up some more of my black paint. Now I want this to be fairly non-watery, so let's see. Just adding a tiny bit of water. I want this to be pretty opaque. Let me just check if that's dry enough. I'm gonna paint in the eye. Make sure you don't dip your hand into the part that is still wet. Then for the eye, that was a quick zoom, huh, you guys? We're gonna start with the eyeliner, so to speak. And please feel free to just use a colored pencil or a fine liner for this part. Okay, and then we'll fill in the eye. It's not a really completely round shape. It's more like an elliptic shape, like this. Okay, I think that's enough. Some black in here. All right, I'm gonna zoom out again. Here we go. Oops. All right. Rinsing my brush. Okay, let's look at our birdie. Oh, I forgot that little foot there, the little leg. I think I'm gonna add that with colored pencil though. For the shimmer and the background, yeah, I think we can put in the background now. That'll work. Just make sure that your paper is fairly dry. I mean, you know, the bird especially, the outlines of the bird, otherwise you're probably gonna end up having your paints bleed into each other. Switching to my large round brush again, picking up some of my Mele Manu, blue, blue, blue. And for the background, I want a very diluted blue. I could even lay down some water first. Yeah, no. So you could lay down some water first, but I'm just gonna go in. That's very intense. So I just rinsed my brush. Rinse, rinse, rinse. Just pick up some water, pick up the blue paint, and dilute it a little more. And now I'm just kind of dabbing my brush onto the paper. And I'm leaving some white space on purpose. I think it gives the whole thing a more loose look. But please feel free to paint the background very thoroughly. You know, you can really go in and fill out all the white spaces if you like. But for me, this is really more like an idea of a background, so to speak. Picking up some more of my blue and just randomly adding some drips and drops of blue, just for a little more interest. Okay, and how about we paint this background down here in the peach color, because the peach color is totally not visible anywhere else. Okay, so this is Elepaio. And dropping that in down here. So you do not have to do this. This is really mostly so I can showcase this color to you better. But please feel free to either not paint a background here at the bottom, use blue or maybe even green to indicate that, you know, there's a lot more foliage down here. And picking up some of my gray, Oma'o. Dropping this in here at the edges. Okay. How's everybody doing? Are you guys painting along, or are you just watching today, taking it all in? How about a bit more tea? Tea for me. You know what? I should probably check on my phone battery. Oh, I can't even see it. Okay. You know what? I'll be right back. You can whip out your colored pencils in the meantime, but I'm gonna look for a longer phone cable. I don't want the phone to die. here I am, back with a longer cable. Let's see. Hi, Steph. Steph is just watching today. Alina is just watching. Well, I get that. I mean, it's super late where Alina is. Like, I think it's like 10 o'clock p.m. already, isn't it? I have to say, for me, when I watch live streams, I often paint along, but not what is actually being painted on the stream. I just love live streams. And often then later I come back and repaint whatever was painted in the live stream. If it's something really difficult, I find it actually easier to watch the whole thing first before, you know, I have to kind of like understand what's going on, rather than try and keep up and fall behind. And yeah, that can be pretty frustrating. Okay, so I think we're actually done with the watercolor part. Yeah, I kind of want more orange here around the eye. It's the only thing. So let's see. Okay. And maybe here. So I'm pretty much just going over the shadows that I already painted one more time with my orange. Almost did it. Almost dipped my brush into my tea. On it goes onto the left side. Okay, so paint water on the right, tea on the left. Let's remember that. All right, so if your paper is still wet, like mine is, make sure you're using very soft colored pencils, and the softest one you can find are the ones that are water soluble. It really doesn't matter which brand you use, but just use the water soluble ones for this step if your paper is still wet. This way you can avoid ripping the paper. If you wait till your paper is really dry, you can just use any regular colored pencil for this step. So what I'm doing now is just kind of emphasizing the shapes that I've already painted and adding some details to my flowers. Let me put this palette to the side. Let me know if I should zoom in some more, or if this is good distance. Okay, for my flowers, let me grab a red. Just looked over at the chat. Okay, most people are watching. Debbie is swatching. Okay, watching and swatching. Aw, thanks, Mom. That is such a nice thing to say. Dankeschön, Dankeschön. Yeah, I love lives too. It's just the connection, I think. Absolutely, I agree. Rarely paint along, but paint later instead. I generally believe that, yeah, during those live sessions, especially if you watch people in live sessions on a regular basis, it's almost like getting to know them. And, you know, I also appreciate that you guys can just ask me immediate questions, or, you know, just ask me questions in real time, so to speak. And even though I can't hear you and you can only type, still feels a bit more like a conversation rather than just me, of course, you know, recording a video and putting it on my YouTube. That's very one-sided, like a one-way painting. Okay, I grabbed my red colored pencil, water soluble. And going back into my flowers, just adding a few more strokes. And with this red pencil, I'm also gonna go in and gently add some few strokes here on the left side of my bird. As you can see, I'm holding the pencil flat, so I can use the side of the pencil and very gently adding a bit of texture. Now, if you're using cold pressed paper or rough paper, this would be where the texture of the paper shines through. If you don't like that, you might not actually want to add color pencil. In that case, you can add the details just with a fine brush and some watercolors. But for those of you who have been around for a while, you guys know that I love texture. So I'm gonna go all in with the texture and add some more colored pencil. And some more around the eye. Okay, let's see if I have a indigo handy. Nope. Purple. This looks like, ooh, deep indigo, perfect. With the deep indigo, I'm gonna go over the dark feathers here. And I'm also gonna draw in the ghost leg that just vanishes into the foliage. And adding a bit more texture to the other leg here. All right. Okay, let's grab some green. Maybe, no, dark green. Ooh, wow, that's nice. That is a nice dark mossy green. You know what? I kind of want my favorite green. Where is that? There it is. I ordered a new one, but I don't know why the package has been stuck in California for a long time, and they said, you know, it's going to take another 2 weeks to get to me in Hawaii. And you know, I get it. I live in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. But I ordered from Jackson's. So this is a UK based company in England, but apparently they opened a branch, so to speak, in Maine, on the continental USA. So I was like, oh yes. So I ordered about a month ago, I think. And among other things, I ordered a new pencil, colored pencil. Faber-Castell, Albrecht Dürer, olive green, yellowish. But let's see if this one survives until my new pencil gets here. Kind of doubt it. I use this a lot. I love this pencil. I should probably just put it into one of these holders. You know, I have holders to make them longer. The thing is though, these Faber-Castell, Albrecht Dürer, they have a pretty thick diameter. So it's, most of the holders don't actually, they don't fit in most of the holders, I found out. So the ones that I already have kind of didn't work with that one. Let's try again though. This is getting really tricky to draw with. Let's see if I have a holder. There's one. it's too wide. It does not work. How about I take this off, maybe? Ooh, that works. Huh. Oh, wow. There you go. New pen. New pencil. I'm just gonna continue adding outlines to my leaves, and I'm also adding some outlines just with the colored pencil. So I'm not only painting or drawing around the leaves that I have put down with watercolor, but I'm also, see here, adding some empty leaves, so to speak. And some stalks and tiny little branches. You can even do some scribbles like that. You know, if you don't want to be too exact and just do a little wild mixed media here. Who's it? Hi, Molly. Oh, hi. Got a little visitor here. Hi, little puppy. How's it going? Hi, Leo. Okay, dogs in the house. And let's move over to the side. And again, just following the shapes of my watercolor blobs. As you can see, I'm doing these really quickly. Very loose shapes. Okay, I think that's probably enough, I'd say. Yeah. Oh, what's that shape? I don't even know. Okay, looking over at the chat. Amy says, "Aw, puppy grumbles, so cute." Yeah, they're very cute. Courtney asked about the colored pencil. Okay, so this is the olive green yellowish. The number is 173. Fabulous, fabulous. Love it so much. It's almost like a dark matcha color. Wonderful. Okay, let's see. What else? So we need to add some color shift, shimmer. You know, this one. So I'd say we'll do that. And also missing are still those little dots here. So these flowers really look like pom-poms, half pom-poms. And towards the end of every line, they have a little tiny sphere-shaped element. And so I'm indicating those by adding some little marks here like that. You could do these with watercolor too, of course. It doesn't really matter. I think the colored pencil makes them stand out a lot. So that's why I like adding them in the end. And especially with the water-soluble colored pencil, you can even go over or on top of a light wash watercolor background. Okay, I am using my small round brush, dipping into the color shift. So some people say that they use extra brushes for their shimmer, glitter, and color shift paints. I don't do that. What I sometimes do is that I use a different or separate water container though. So when I'm using, or when I'm doing a mixed media piece, I'm using all sorts of different supplies and I'm mixing matte or non-shimmer paints with shimmer paints. I would often have an exclusive water container just to rinse my brush with the shimmer paint. And then you could really take it to a level where you exclusively use certain brushes for your shimmer paints and then a designated shimmer brush water container to separate everything. So if you don't do that, then you might end up with some shimmer in your matte paints. And usually, you know, for me, I don't really mind. It's fine. Like your painting would end up having an overall light shimmer to it. But I think it really is a matter of preference. So if you want to keep your shimmers and your non-shimmers separate, you can do that. And let's just add some more. Da, 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 da. Just for funsies. Bling, bling, bling. What are these weird black things on my bird? Oh, gone. All right. Okay. Did I forget anything? No, I think we're good. I think this is it. Okay, let me know if you have any more questions about the paints or the painting process. I'm gonna keep an eye on the chat. Mom's asking if Leo is jealous of the other dog, and that is a yes. Ja, er ist sehr eifersüchtig. Immer. Und Colleen says, ooh, I missed a whole part of the conversation there. Okay. His name was William. Funny. So the orange color is Akepa. And the color shift is a Kohola. Dun, 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 dun. Ta-da. Okay. So I think if there are no more further questions, I'm gonna quickly try and turn the camera around one more time. Dun, 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 dun. Oopsie. All right. I hope you enjoyed today's session. The shop update is on Sunday, this following Sunday, so in 2 days at 9 a.m. Hawaii time. You can check out the newsletter and also on Instagram, my latest post. You know what? I'm gonna put the time zones here in the caption. I think that makes the most sense for all of you guys. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this session and have a great weekend. Aloha and bye-bye.